I'm a believer, a family man, and a racer at heart. And now, I'm going to bring it all together in one place. Welcome to FastFaith, the podcast where passion meets purpose and speed meets the spirit. From the tight, unforgiving turns at the bull ring known as the Madhouse, to the high-stakes, high-bank turns of Daytona and Talladega, I'm sitting down with the drivers who live it, breathe it, and bring that heat in every lap. So buckle in, fire it up. The lights are off and we're coming to the green flag. Get ready to smash that gas. This is Fast Faith. Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Fast Faith, where speed meets the spirit. I am your host, Michael Weiser, and today I am happy to be joined by somebody different than a race car driver that we usually sit down and talk with. And it's not even a crew member or an official, but it's a fan from the stands. And he's here with his son. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Daniel and Gray.
Thank you, Michael, for having us on. You guys at Fast Faith, we enjoy what you guys do. You're doing a good thing here, and was more than happy to be on the show. I do want to start off myself by thanking the fine folks here in Stoneville at Reedy and Race for allowing us the space. I kind of had a backup plan for us if this one didn't work out, but I knew I could trust in them that they would allow us to be here. So thank you for having us on.
Yeah, definitely. It's a beautiful small town here. If you're traveling through North Carolina, want a nice little small town to stop off in, Stoneville is definitely a nice little town to stop off in, and just beautiful scenery, and seems like really good folk around here. So
yeah, it's a nice place. I've been here my whole life. It's just small town USA, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, man.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let us start with y'all's channel. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. Y'all have a cool little father-son YouTube channel adventure going on. For those that haven't seen it, maybe just kind of tell us about that and how that started and where it came from.
Well, we started Danny and Gray's Cards and Toys. I know the name doesn't sound like it would have anything to do with racing, and that's what we've talked about at times. But you know, that's what makes us. And the name in itself kind of tells you what we do. He opens up cars, different toys. I do cards myself. He's gotten to where he enjoys the trading card side of things, mostly racing. We have dabbled in other sports, but you know, and then the adventure part of things. There's been times that we've went what we call toy hunts, and we like capturing that raw emotion of when we find something and Grayson's in the aisle like, man, we just, you know, that excitement. That's something that I don't catch all the time, and I've failed to catch it recently, but we've tried to start bringing back our toy hunts because there's folks on there that really enjoy that, and they love what we do when we do that, taking them on that adventure. And then to the racing stuff, the Bowman Gray, that's Bowman Gray in itself. I wouldn't trade capturing all that for nothing. And then it's also memories that I can make. It's kind of like a virtual baby book. I've tried to explain that to him. We started this in 2019. He was 2.5 or 3. Now he's almost fixing to be 9. So that's kind of like a, you know, new style thing, like what we had, a scrapbook, baby book, whatever you want to call it, and now I'm kind of doing it.
Instead of having to pull out a big old giant photo album,
I've got it all there.
You just got it all on a hard drive and a disc somewhere, and upload it on YouTube and things, and that's pretty awesome. And so you mentioned Bowman Gray. Where does that start at for you? Does that go all the way back to childhood? Does that go to adulthood, or where does that start for you?
It started for me in July of 2000. I can vaguely remember this, so you'll have to forgive me. Mom and Dad wanted to go to the race. They were going, you know, prior, but I guess where I was, you know, small at the time, I was like maybe 4.5, 5 in the year 2000, and they took me there. I bought a program. I've still got that program that started it all. And now I'm here 2025, still going. I've only missed a handful of races.
Oh, wow.
I've even went to the track when I was sick, Michael. Like I had a fever of 101 and I'm showing up and I felt awful and I drove myself back. I'll never forget that. that's just something that I'll, always remember. But that's just dedication, and that's what I'm trying to pass along to him, because I've still got life to live, but I want him to kind of carry on that torch of me going.
Yeah. So, Gray, let me ask you a question. That's okay? Yeah. You've been sitting here all nice and patient and everything. So, what's your favorite thing? Is it the toy hunts? Is it the racetrack? Is it just the fun and adventures? What's the most important thing to you in your heart when you're with your dad doing these things?
Well, a lot. Probably all of them because I like to do stuff with him all the time, and probably the racetrack and probably the toy hunts too. But yeah.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, I like how you said all of it. Having that family time with dad and mom, right?
We can't forget mom.
Can't forget mom. They're the backbones, right? They're
Right.
what hold us all together.
Right.
So at Bowman Gray, we see a different, wide variety of people. And the one thing that we do see a lot of, though, is drivers that have a very strong and deep faith in the Lord. So could you kind of talk about where your family is at with your faith, and then we'll kind of go back into the racing thing after that.
Yeah, man. Our family loves the Lord. Our household, we put Christ first. And if there's somebody out here watching and you're thinking about, well, what is Christ? I hope that maybe not this episode or any other episode, that you'll come to know Christ, because he's the best friend you can ever have.
Amen.
And I'm instilling that into his mindset, and he loves the Lord. You can see him shining him daily. And he's recently started to where he says our prayers, and I'm kind of getting emotional just thinking about it. He says our prayers at the dinner table, and they might be short and sweet, but it's that meaning behind it, what he means when he's saying those words. So yeah, it's just, I don't have the right words to put out there, but I'll just say this: God is very important to us in general.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome.
And I do got to put this out there too, because my mom might smack me if I don't. She's had me in church since I was, I think, 3 weeks old. I may be wrong on that. I forget what she told me, but I can tell you I've been in church and wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah. So as you're at racetracks and doing different things, how important is it to you to make sure that not only are you cheering for people at the track that demonstrate that good character, not only on the track but off the track and throughout the community? How important is it to you to kind of make sure he's picking those drivers? Because sometimes you pick something and then your kids pick something else, and sometimes they do it just to get on your nerves. So
right.
How have you kind of helped teach him good values and good character and good morals, to where when he's looking at drivers and people like that to cheer for, that he knows he's picking somebody that represents himself as well?
Right. I think it's funny the way you put that. Yeah, I would never persuade him to like someone over somebody just because I don't, but he makes those own choices. And, I think that all comes back from the Lord, because he sees someone doing the right thing versus the wrong thing. And, um, you know, it goes down to how they treat us when we go down, because we're in the pits. We go before the races even start. We're down there a couple hours ahead of time, and you can see, and I'm not going to call anybody's name out like that, but you can see the ones that care about you versus the ones that kind of, hey, how you doing? And you kind of get, they're like family, so to speak. And so him in general, I think he just sees who I talk to, and then they kind of pick him up under their wings. So of course that draws him into them. So he sees the good morals that they have.
Yeah. What do you look for, Gray, in a driver? Not just at Bowman Gray, but maybe everywhere. What is it, other than just their driving style or what their car looks like? What do you look like, or what do you look to for the person of the driver?
Well, they have to be nice to you, obviously, and if they don't be nice to you and like they say yeah and all that, but they don't talk to you a lot. Like a lot of them guys are nice to me, but then some of them ain't a lot. But yeah.
Yeah. I always want to be nice, have somebody be nice to you, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Um, so, Gray, let me ask you another question. Is there any time at the track when you're with your dad? And I know when I met you guys, you were talkative and whatnot to me, but is there times where through y'all's channel and things like that where maybe people recognize you? And when they do you ever take the chance to maybe tell them about Jesus or tell them who the Lord is?
Yes, I've everywhere a lot, like church. If you haven't never went to church and learned about the Lord, so yeah.
That's awesome. I like that, man. Keep that up. Do you guys ever say a prayer together when you go to the tracks or anything like that?
We have, and it's something that me and him do. It's kind of like that, but it's also different. We've prayed that our driver, of course, we want all the drivers to be safe, but when it's per se our driver gets a draw up front, we pray that they'll, kind of graduate up to the front, or, and it's been times, actually this year, I'll look over at him and I'll nudge him and I'll say, this is, such and such chance, because you can see the cars around them and they have maybe a better advantage than this guy does, and
Yeah.
or they've just gotten a good draw spot. So you find yourself, praying that, hey, you want them safe, but you also want them to, get up front and win. So for sure, yeah.
Yeah. So when you guys are doing your YouTube channel and you're at the track, I know you have the highlights, but do y'all ever have any videos of interactions with drivers or teams or anything like that?
That's something that I have done, but I want to say I want to do that more, but I never seem to get that extra kick, so to speak, to make me go
Right.
do it.
Yeah.
But definitely, like on championship night, we've done this for the last 3 seasons. I'll usually go down and talk to the first and second place guy that finished up the championship. That year that won, and then the one that was obviously just close, but he didn't make it. So we do that. But yeah, I would love to start doing that. That's something that I've thought about, but just never have really went that extra step, so to speak, and done it.
Yeah. What's the most amazing thing that you feel like God has done through y'all's channel and just through y'all's relationship at the track that maybe has helped other people, or maybe some stories you've heard of, or maybe y'all have inspired another father and son to bond up closer together or something like that?
Well, there's been several instances over the years. We recently just done something a couple weeks ago with the two girls. That have cancer. They're 16. We went into our collection, and actually he went in as well, which surprised me. And he's like, "I got some stuff." And I mean, that's what you want as a father,
Yeah.
your child to want to give back. And so we done some stuff with them. There's been some other instances. I know with my mother-in-law, she was sick, and we raised over $1,000 for her just through friends that we've made on YouTube, and they reached out and donated to the GoFundMe that we done for my mother-in-law, and that meant the world to her. And these are people that they don't even know who she is.
Yeah.
So we try to be more positive than negative on our channel, and I want to be like a place where, like for you have a son that your son can go, and you don't have to be like every 10 minutes, hey, what is he watching, what is he doing?
Yeah.
It's just you can relate. So from that, that's why I tell him, the things that we do on there is things we can't take back, but it's also stuff that I would never regret that we have done for people. And
Yeah.
it's just multiple instances
That's
over
cool.
the year.
That's cool. That's good. Proverbs 22:6 tells us to train up our children in the way, and when they're older, they will not depart from that.
And that's exactly right.
So I feel like just a couple interactions that I have had with you and with him that you're doing that. You guys have the hero cards,
Right,
that you give out. You told me something special about those hero cards that he wanted on there, and you said it was the first thing he wanted on there.
right.
Could you share what that
Yeah.
was, and maybe what you felt when he told you that?
Oh yeah, and I might get emotional again. Um, we had hero cards made up, and that was something that we honestly went. We were at where were we at?
38 or something?
No. We were at
35.
the Clash, and there was a guy. He came up to him and wanted him to sign his ticket because we were in that documentary at the beginning of the year, and Brad Lewis was standing there, and I think Taylor Branch and a couple others, and he's like, y'all need hero cards. And I'm like, no, we don't. Come on, Brad. He's like, no, you do. Your popularity is fixing to go through the roof. And I was like, okay. So we all got together. Thanks to Messer Media for getting those done up. And I was just kind of planning the whole deal. And I went up to him and I'm like, well, you're just as much a part of this as I am. Is there something that you want on the back of the card that you want people to know about us? And he's like, well, the first thing we got to do is put John 3:16. And Michael, I'll just tell you, I was like, wow, thank you, Lord. I mean, this kid's seeing the right things. And for those of you that are watching, if you don't know what John 3:16 is, I highly encourage you to go and read it, because that's one of the most popular verses I think everyone knows. But there's a real big meaning to that too. And my favorite verse, I might be rambling here.
No, you're good, man. Keep going.
Psalms 23. I love that whole Psalms. It's a beautiful piece.
Yeah,
and
it's my son's favorite too. That's why he's back there being our camera assistant and celebrating because you said that.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, the hero cards, I feel like just with that in the corner, maybe somebody will see that and they'll go say, let me see what this is. But who knows, they might get saved.
That's right. That's right. With that being said, we see sometimes at Bowman Gray or other tracks, and even in different sports and basically everywhere, you see somebody praise Jesus when they win a race, or they praise Jesus when they win an Emmy or whatever. But then all of their actions that they do other times, or maybe they even, not naming names, maybe they even do a lot supposedly for the schools and the communities and stuff, but then their actions on the track or around town and other places may contradict that.
Right.
As a father to a young child, we have to always make sure that we're reminding them that people know that we believe, people see that. What kind of lessons are you teaching him throughout his young life that you kind of hope he'll remember, that God's always watching you when other people aren't, or people could consider, like, they may be confused when they see you got John 3:16 on there, but then you maybe don't do something right. People can get
Right.
confused by that. So how do you kind of instill lessons of good character and carrying yourself as a Christian to somebody that's only 8 years old?
Right.
I know what I do for my 9-year-old, but what are your kind of things that you do?
Well, obviously, praying to God is one of your big things, and like I spoke earlier, him knowing, just how to pray, and him knowing about stories in the Bible. You got to read those to him, and then in his faith life, it's going to grow. And like you say, I try to be the person that I am on video, that I am in person. I don't want to be a fake. You don't want to be somebody that, is just putting on for the camera. And I've had multiple people on the internet and in person tell me, you're the same person. That's because I'm me, and I want him to be that same way. Don't put on a show just because you're in the limelight, or you're popular. And don't try to fit in with the popular crowd. I it's just that's my main morals that I want him to see. And just because you're a believer, the whole world might turn their back on you, but Christ won't.
That's right.
And that's what I want him to know.
That's right. That's good. I like that. What kind of going? Let's go back to the channel now.
Okay.
And we've talked about it some here and there, but what are responses you get? Like, you talked about how some people that you've met have said, like, you're the same on there as you are in person or whatever. But do you get people that maybe they think that you're just too nice, or you guys have too good of a relationship? That what are just responses that you hear from people when they look at the channel, or when they see what you guys are doing?
Well, we obviously have had people that dislike what we do, and I'm thinking to myself, how can you? But you're going to have that, and I try to tell him too, don't be discouraged because of that. And we've had really really good responses. We have more positivity than we do negative, and that's what I want. And as far as how much we've grown, I mean, I know there's channels that have more subscribers than we do, and I'm fine with that. But where we're at and what we do, I think we've done pretty good. And I want to keep grinding with him, and getting those numbers up. And right now we're on task to get to what goals we currently have set. I think we're going to get there. So
That's good. That's good. Beyond Bowman Gray, and maybe even Cup Series tracks or whatever. What other tracks or places do you guys like to go to?
he's wanted to. I've went to some drag racing stuff, and I've gotten some footage from that. He's wanting to do that. I know we go to a little track called Millbridge. It's in Salisbury. You've got the Zach Orr shirt on. His daughter races there. There's been times where we went to Caraway. I'd like to go to South Boston. I was supposed to go there the other year when they had the SRX, but something unfortunately happened out of my league to even try and change it. He all has a plan for everything we do.
Right.
But yeah, we frequently ventured out, but mainly as far as you said the Cup tracks, we always go to Richmond, Bristol, Charlotte. I went to Darlington this year. That's somewhere he wants to go. But our all-time bucket list, you want to tell him where that's at?
What's your all-time bucket list track?
Daytona 500.
Hell, the 500.
Yeah.
And I got one more thing to say. I sung the national anthem at the Millbridge track.
Really? You're a singer too, huh? Oh man, you just jack of all trades. You're a race fan. You're a weatherman. Now you're a singer. Are you a commentator too? Do you do a little commentating here and there with your cars, right, when you're playing? Yeah, that guy over there does the same thing. Well, that's great, man. So, what you mentioned goals. I mean, you don't have to share numbers or whatever, but what are some things that you're hoping within the next, I don't know, let's say year and a half, 2 years, that you really kind of hope to accomplish and do to continue growing the channel and then growing y'all's bond even closer and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind sharing the numbers. Right now, we're just shy of 4,000 at the making of this video, and that was honestly my goal at the end of this year. So we have our spurts during the Bowman Gray season where we come up, and it actually went up pretty good this year, more than I thought. And I try where we're still kind of semi-small. I try to take, like, you've got 4 quarters in a year. I try to get 250 subscribers every quarter, so to speak. So every half year, I want to be 500, another 500. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But honestly, I mean, we've been doing this for 5 years, so it was hard starting. We had to get, to 1,000, and then once you get past that, it kind of smooths over at times. But yeah, so that's kind of what we do, and we're right at, I think, 1.7 million views, and that's just crazy to me.
That's a lot of views
in general. But I mean, a couple of videos have went viral. Not the best of things happen in those videos. I'll just say that. But obviously, Bowman Gray, you know how it can be.
Oh yeah.
But we've had one toy hunt that went crazy, and that's the one that I think really sparked us off a lot. Is when Toy Story 4 came out.
Yeah.
We went there and we were in a Target. We knew the delivery date, so to speak. And this could get crazy, me talking about that stuff, but that's part of the toy hunt process too.
Right.
You have to know your delivery dates in the store. And I might be giving away some of my secrets, but it's okay. But yeah, we were there when they put those toys out, and I filmed. And he was, I mean, a wee lad. And that video, I think, has like right at 100,000 views. So
oh wow,
it's crazy.
Good. Yeah. I've learned the humblingness of making YouTube videos. Of I'm in the beginning of this, but when you have the idea that you have, and you have the 20,000 people in the stands every week, and you're talking to drivers, you're thinking you're going to get at least 500 or 1,000 views, especially with some of the people that I've spoke with, and they've gotten 150 or 200 or whatever and things like that, which is awesome. But when you're in your mind, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be humongous to begin with,
right?
And then I've been humbled of realizing that it's going to take time to build it all up. But
it does. And to your point there, I've spent many hours behind what I call my workspace, where we have open stuff, or I'm doing cards, or we're out on an adventure, or we're at the racetrack. I'd hate to say how many hours I have at this point. So it's not going to just be like that.
Oh,
In
yeah.
my opinion, I mean,
Yeah.
you might have that moment, you might just blow up, you might pass us, but you know, uh, it's a lot of work. And I've told, there's some guys, they might even be watching this. They're at the track, they're like teenagers, and they do their own little vlog videos, and they look up to us. They speak to us all the time when they see us out there in the stands. And I think one of them quit the other week. He's like, I want to turn it in. I'm done with this. I'm like, dude, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to keep going. And he's like, well, I'm only at like whatever subscribers. There's like 900 or something. I'm like, well, you've come from 0 and you're to 900, so don't give up.
Good.
I mean, and that's just me. I try to encourage people, not be discouraging.
Yeah, that's good. So, what is do you have any ideas to maybe incorporate the family values and the faith values into some of the videos, or you kind of make it, keeping it more just mainstream to kind of reach others that maybe don't find that as interesting or things?
Well, you go to stepping on people's toes, they get mad, but sometimes us as Christians, we have to do those things. I've thought about it, but I've never stepped to that point. I mean, on a lot of my videos at the end, I'll say God bless. We've had prayers before on there. There's been times, like I said, where I'll say we're praying for you guys, or in the chat or whatever. So they know where I stand. Most of my normal viewers do. But you don't want to ever, upset someone. But there again, I've had the door open a couple times to some of these guys, and they've, talked to me and came to me, and they feel like they can. So just that in general makes me feel good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've talked about with some of the drivers in their interviews and stuff. It's not always about having the loudest microphone or having the Bible verse plastered on your car or something like that. It's also about how you carry yourself and how you present yourself, and that opens the door up for the opportunity for people to ask questions like, hey, how do you have such a close relationship with your son and with your family? What is it about y'all that makes y'all different? And that's when it opens the door up to where you can tell them about, who the Lord is if they don't know, or that you can ask them, well, where's your relationship at with the Lord? Maybe you need more of Him to where you could have a relationship like this with your son, or you could have a relationship like this with your family. So it's not always about plastering it out there everywhere. And then sometimes when you do, if you get mad and you have a heat of the moment explosion, then people are like, I thought he was a Christian.
Oh yeah. There's been times I've been tested on a live stream before. You'll have these people, they'll come in there and they're just trying to get under your skin, and I'll have to think about what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And then you kind of mellow out with it. But there's been a couple people, like I said, and it's just some that are, I won't call anybody out, that I've tried to witness to, and you'll always have those ones that want to push you away. I'm not interested in that. You don't want to beat their door down, so to speak, but you kind of do want to gravitate back to that, because us as followers of Christ, we want to win everyone over.
Right.
We don't want to see them go to the awful place called hell. I mean, who would want to see that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Yeah. So that's I mean, this has been a lot different.
I'm sure.
Than talking to drivers. So you have to forgive me if I'm like stumbling or whatever, but good thing is editing, right?
Right.
Maybe I'll even put in some B-roll at the end of this for bloopers or whatever at the end of this one. Maybe that'll help me grow some viewers.
Right.
So let's say you're 8 going on 9, right? All right, let's say he's, I think minimum age is what, 13, 14 at the track?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he comes to you and says, Dad, I want to drive at this madhouse crazy place. What are you telling him? You going to let him do it?
Well, first of all, I got to go to Mom, because Mom's the evil protector. I'll call her the evil one on that one. No, I would love him to do that, because right now he kind of does his little simulator stuff where we kind of do it in the house and he plays on his games. And I think he could do it. I honestly think he could. But like I said, I would be all for it. But my wife, I don't know. She might would gravitate to it by the time he's 13, 14. He kind of makes his own decisions, starting to be in that stage. So I'd be all for it.
Yeah.
I'd be all for it.
Yeah. You just always tell mom you're working for the team, and she just stays in the stands, praying and hoping that nothing happens down in the pits, and then you're actually out there on the track, and you're running this Chester Whipple filter or something right there, right?
Well, we've had several drivers, and they've even said it in front of her, and she's like, I don't know. They've told her that he's just as safe inside that car as he is, riding a four-wheeler. If the four-wheeler is more dangerous than the car because of all the safety measures that they have. So,
I mean, your top speed is in the modifieds maybe 70 at the end of the straightaway. Yeah, it's not gonna hurt too much if you get hit. Then again, old Randy did.
I got something.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
She probably wants me to not flip.
I would want you to not flip either. I mean, as entertaining as that might be, I wouldn't want you to flip either. But what's interesting though is a few years ago there was and Danny, you probably remember this. There was somebody who, I mean, it's happened more than once, but there was somebody who flipped. They come and turn the car back over, and then he tried to go back out and run a few laps until all the oil leaked into the combustion chambers, and he was just pouring smoke everywhere. That was pretty interesting to watch. What you got, buddy?
I saw a race on NASCAR in like 19 something, and I think it was Ricky Stenhouse. He flipped over and then he kept going in the race.
Yeah. Dale Earnhardt did that a long time ago too. He flipped over. They had the car up on the tow truck, and he was getting into the ambulance, and he looked at it and realized that all the wheels were still pointed the right way, and that the front wasn't crushed up too much. So he got out of the ambulance and jumped back in the car and kept on going. That's crazy, huh?
Right. I've got a memory that is instilled to me, and it probably will until I lose my mind or I just pass away. And it was actually at Bowman Gray. I think it was 2005. Tommy Neal. There's footage of this. You can go on YouTube and see it. But I'm like his age watching this. There was a wreck on the front stretch, and somebody got loose. Well, I vaguely remember how he, maneuvered his car or whatever, but he actually, the whole car was engulfed in flames. The tower, how high it is.
Yeah.
Well, the flames literally went that high.
Wow.
And he had third-degree burns, and I think he was out for half the season, but he obviously now he still races, but I think he came back at the end of that year. Or I know he was back the first of the next year for sure.
Yeah.
But that was a wild experience for me to, I can still see it.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, it
that
was
would
wild.
Be wild. What are, as being somebody that, I mean, me and my family, me and my wife have been married for 12 years now or whatnot, and he's just turned 9, but we've only been going for probably the last, I want to say 5 or 6 years. We went for a few races here and there when we first got married, and a few races here and there when he was like, 1 and 2 or whatever. What are some of the things that you feel like are positive changes that NASCAR has brought in since they've taken over the management side of things and owning the series now versus just sanctioning it? And then what would you say that are things that you wish could go back maybe to the way they were before, or to maybe a more relaxed type kind of policies that they used to have? Being there since you've been there basically your whole life pretty much.
One thing that I wish that they would kind of graduate back to is more of the where they would feature the $2 ladies night thing. I think that was a big draw to that place, and they would have them once a month. Now they're only doing that one time a year.
Yeah.
I know times have changed. I remember when it was $1 ladies night, and that's the funny thing. I got to put this in. That's when I used to take my then girlfriend, now wife. I would always only want to pay her way that night. She would pay her other way, and I would only want to offer that way. But to me, I haven't really seen many changes. Not that I noticed, I guess, other than the new safer barrier. I can't say that wasn't something that I was happy about when I saw, but now looking at it, they took the whole fence down for the regular season. So I can't be
Yeah.
mad there. I was thinking going in they were going to have that all the way around. We saw it at the Clash. I was like, well, I can get used to this, but they took it down, so I can't be mad there. One thing I do wish that they would, if NASCAR is truly involved, and this might get me in trouble, but I mean it's just how I feel. I've got my own
You're a
opinion.
fan, though.
I'm
You're
a
not,
fan, so
you
so
can say whatever you want.
me going out there, as long as I have the fights, the bickering and the crazies, you kind of, it's like whatever when you see it, unless it's somebody that you don't like that's doing it to somebody you do like. Of course, you get heated, you get upset. Um, but I'm kind of over all that stuff, and I wish that they would, take it more seriously. Like if you're, your NASCAR sanctioning body, if your Cup driver goes out there and does that, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
He's definitely not going to, get suspended for X races. He's going to be fined money. He's going to be docked points, and he's, going to lose sponsors or whatever. But that's a whole different ball game. But to that level. But I think that they should take that stuff a little bit more seriously than they do. And I know it draws a crowd. I understand that part of it, but you've got a child out there. You don't want him thinking that's okay to act that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's like me and AJ talked about, you've got kids are watching.
They are.
They're either going to watch you, and granted, he admitted that he did it in the past, but they're either going to watch you driving the car into the side of somebody because they bumped your bumper, or they're going to watch you, I don't know, maybe trying to do some kind of kick through a windshield or something.
Yeah.
But that's, I feel like that some people are getting kind of tired, because if it's not one series, then it goes to the other series, and then once it gets done with that series, it switches back to the other. And I feel like watching the way some people react and reading the comments online, that even a lot of the fan base is getting tired of there always being something every single week about, and even if something doesn't happen on the track, there seems like there's too many people in the pits that don't necessarily need to be in the pits.
Right.
And you see videos or pictures of people trying to just have a conversation, and other people kind of pushing them, trying to make them start fighting.
Right.
So
that place is built off of drama, and I've been going there for 25 years, and that's what draws them in. But to me, I seen a post the other week that somebody put out there. What's one of the reasons you go to Bowman Gray? And I wrote on there because I like the racing action, and I want to see some good racing. I don't go for the fights. I mean,
that's what you go to hockey games for.
Yeah, exactly. But and then I've even told people to come down there, and I've actually had a guy come from Ohio. He's a good friend of mine. He came down just to see a race at Bowman Gray, and then of course to hang out with us. But that was on his bucket list to get to the track. I've got a guy in Indiana that wants to come. I've got a guy in Michigan. So
we had some family that was visiting from Italy that came.
Oh wow!
And it was the first time they'd been to any kind of racing event, much less an American racing event, and they had a blast. I think it was a modified 100-lap race they went to this summer.
Right.
And they were blown away by it. They were so into it. And then we had some friends from church. They came to it. It was our friend, the wife. It was her first time ever being to any kind of racing. And then it was our friend's first time being to like a short track, professional level kind of racing. And they were blown away too. But something that I always try to tell people is, you're going to see, if it's your first time, there's always, at least whenever I've invited people for the first time, there's three things that happen. It's either the tamest, calmest night of the season where everybody minds their P's and Q's. There's no even bumping or rubbing or anything. No fights. Even the fans in the stands aren't fighting. You're going to see, maybe two races get kind of crazy and out of hand, and maybe see some people play some, merry-go-round the pace car, see some people play some hide and go seek with the barriers on the football field. Right. Or you're going to see every single race just be completely chaotic and crazy, and you're going to be like, whoa. But it seems what happens to me all the time when I bring somebody for the first time is always the first one. It's the calmest, tamest night, and they're like, why do they call this the madhouse? Nobody's gotten mad. Right. And I'm like, come next week, and it'll be different.
Right. Yeah, I agree there. I can remember, like I say, when I was young. Uh, I think to me, it's tamed down a bunch from the mid 2000s. From what you don't see the as many fights and the arguments and stuff as you do, which I guess, like I say, to me, I like that. Just because I don't want him seeing all that stuff all the time, and the violence and stuff. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. But I think when he came down, it was a good race night. He'll tell you it was a good race night. So
Yeah, that's good. So I want to thank you guys for setting some time aside this evening, and want to thank the wonderful establishment here, Ray and Reedy's, right?
Reedy and Ray's.
Reedy and Ray's. I had it backwards. Reedy and Ray's here in Stoneville, for allowing us to use their facility for filming here. You know, we have to make sure that our next generation is shown the right ways. We have to make sure that our next generation, is taught the right ways. So I think what you guys are doing with your channel, what you're doing with him as a father, is amazing. What you guys are doing with the channel is wonderful. Like you said, good family entertainment that you don't have to worry about what's being said or what's happening. So I think that's amazing. I think that's really cool. I think it's just kind of neat to change it up and hear a fan's perspective and of what faith means to them, what family means to them, and what racing means in y'all's bond of father and son.
Yeah.
So I want to thank
you for asking us to be the first one to do that with that.
Yeah.
What an honor.
Yeah.
And it's so nice meeting you guys a couple weeks ago when we met you. I believe it or not, AJ had spoke about you, and he's like, I told him about you guys. You'll probably see him around, and I was like, maybe I've already seen this guy, but I hadn't, not unless in passing, and I didn't know who you were. But yeah, it's an honor, man. Thank you for asking us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. If you don't mind, we'll close in a prayer real quick.
You want me to pray? Or
if you want to pray, yeah, go for it.
Okay, we'll pray,
Let's
man.
do it. All right.
Our Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight on behalf of Fast Faith and what these guys are doing here. Now, this is all for you and only for you, and what you see fit for it to be. We pray that somebody out here that's watching or will watch will come to know you if they don't know you, or maybe they're just a little backsliding on you, that they'll come back in and you can grasp them up under your wing again. Now, we thank Michael and his son for allowing us to come on, and the privilege that we got to speak about you tonight, not only about you, but for everything else we done. Now we ask you to lead us, guide us, and direct us, and keep us safe. And until we meet again, thank you, Lord, for everything you're going to do and for everything you will do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Awesome. Thanks, Mr. Director. How long was it?
This has been Fast Faith with Michael Weiser. I want to say thank you to Daniel and Grayson for joining me on today's show to talk about their love for racing, toy hunts, treasure hunts, and all the other great things that they do as a father and son to bond together. It appeared as if Grayson and my son Robert became fast friends as they played with their race cars together. I want to say thank you also to the wonderful folks at Reedy and Ray's for allowing us to use their facility to take care of our filming for this episode. Before we go, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notifications bell to know all things of Fast Faith. We'll see you next time on Fast Faith, where speed meets the spirit. God bless.